Okay, so next let's look at something called the constructor. Like here, you see the word car, new car. Okay, so every class, like the car class, even like the program class, okay, must have a constructor, a concrete class. This is called a concrete class. A concrete class is a class that can instantiate objects. Okay, it's called a concrete class because everything in concrete, everything is can be used to create an object. If you cannot create an object, it's called an abstract class, and we'll talk about that next time. So let's look at the constructor for a minute here, and I'm gonna go and maximize this. Let's just close this for now. Okay, so here I should have done that, but anyways, okay, so I'm gonna do some cleanups here. Okay, I'm gonna clean up all these. So let's see, let's save this. Yeah, I'm gonna clean up these up here. I don't need these. And I will move these also out, clean that out. Okay, so I have my these are my properties, so I'm just gonna call these properties for now. Okay, so I have 4 of them. Now a constructor. So a constructor, by default, even though you don't have one, I just said that you have to have a constructor, but you don't see here, and you said, I just say if you don't see it, how does it know how to create an object, right? It's if you don't provide one, it's created by C# automatically for you by default. But you can explicitly create one. And a constructor will take the word public. So you want to make it public. If you make it private, you can access it. You can create an object out of that. There's no point, right? So always public followed by the name of the class. So it looks just like a function, except there's no data type, right? Data type will go here. Usually like you have int or a string or something. Okay, if you do that, you see there's an error. It cannot be the same, right? You just cannot put anything there. So this is what's called an empty constructor. Also the default constructor. Okay, this is what happens when you create a new class for the car. So over here, when I create a new car, this actually call this constructor call car. In there it does nothing, but this one here creates the new object. You must have this to create an object, and then that's how that works. So if you have a default constructor, then usually when you create an empty car, a new car, if you don't set these data, they'll all be zeros and nulls, right? For example here, we did that result. I showed you that earlier. If I if I turn all these off, right? You see that there are no data. If I run, so they're all blank except for the year. Okay. So what if every time when you create a car, a new car with no data passed to it, you want to have some default data like this. Okay, I mean, it may not be applied to car, but let's just say that it does. So when you create a blank constructor like this, I'm going to go and create some data here. So I'm going to say the default year is going to be 2018, right? The make is going to be a Ford, and the VIN number is going to be 123 ABC always. If you don't have one, this is a default data. The model is going to be the Mustang. Or we could be more specific, GT, right? So if I save this, and if I run this program, now you see that you have the default data. even though I did not assign any data from here. Okay? And I can create another car. Maybe I'll create another car here. Down here. Car, we call this the Camry. New car again. Okay, if I output these out for the Camry, I'll change this to the Camry instead of the Mustang. So the name here, it means nothing. It's the actual data, right? I shouldn't say mean nothing. It helps you to track your data, but really it has nothing to do with the actual data. Okay, so here's the first car. Up here. And then the second car is still the same copy because we say the default values will be these because we didn't supply any. Okay, so so that you don't have some empty data. And then so this is typical when you run a program or you go to a website or something, and when you register, it will pre-populate with a default avatar name, a default group, and things like that, right? It's the same thing. So then you can go and then you can let the user go in and then modify their data, right? So this is what happens. This is a constructor. So you can create another constructor if you want. Okay, let me copy this. And this constructor is the full constructor because it will provide everything in there, every field. So whatever fields I need to set these properties, I'll put all in here. The first is a year. The second, it doesn't matter in order here, except when you enter the data, it has to be the same order. So I could go like usually the VIN number, right? String VIN number, and then make model, right? String make, string model, and then int year, like that. And when I set these, I'll just say year goes to year. It's case sensitive, so you're okay. And then the make would be make, and then the VIN would be VIN. In this case, it's a problem because I'm calling the same one. So this will be like this VIN. Okay, back to that before, right? So if you want, it's always safe again to put this in front. Okay, so you could put this year, this make, and this model just in case that you might accidentally change these values and you have a problem. So so I have two constructors, and you may wonder why they're allowed, because you know the same name. You can't have the same functions or in the same space, right? Well, in this case, you can. This is what's called a constructor overload. Okay, back to the word again, overload. That means I have the same name, different parameters. Okay, this one has no parameter. This one has 4. So these parameters are called signatures. Okay, so you have two constructors have different signatures. So therefore, that is allowed in this situation. Okay, in object-oriented. If it's a strongly typed language, if it's a loosely typed language like JavaScript or PHP, it's not allowed because data are not important. I mean, data type are not important in when you declare variable names. But in a strongly typed language like Java or C# or C++, yes, these are okay. So I have the second constructor here, and I pass some data to it. So then if I go back to my program over here, the new car, it will still be as before because I'm calling the blank constructor, the empty constructor here. Okay, what if now the Mustang here, that is, it's a Mustang already, the Camry. What if I go and copy this down here? Oh no, I'm not going to do that because I'm calling the constructor. I'm going to call the second constructor with its 4 data fields. Okay, so inside here, I'm going to pass in the VIN number. So maybe 222 cam or something. That's the first parameter. It tells you how many parameters you have. The string, the make, which is a string, and then the year is an integer. So you have to match these data type, right? So the make would be Toyota. Model is Camry. And the year is, let's just say, 2019. If I save this, now when you run this program, you'll see that the second car has the data I passed to that constructor is no longer the default. It takes over the default and it changes to whatever I pass to the constructor. Okay, so this is a very quick way how you can create new cars. I just create a new car. I can create a third car and pass this data to it. If I don't pass data, then it's going to call the empty constructor and set the default. You can even do another one if you want. Let's just say I have another constructor here, number 3. I put it above here. And I only take the VIN number and the make and model. I don't put the year. If you don't put the year, then you should set that to a default year. Again, we're back to, let's just say, 2018 is the default year. You have to supply one, right? But these 3 will be unique based on the data passed to it, but the year is be set locally here to a default year of 2018. So now I have a third constructor, and I can build a third car. Let's copy it down here. And we'll put here a charger, right? So I'll make this like 333CHR, and then this is like a Dodge Charger. And I don't supply the year. Okay, so replace that with Charger. Save. And you run this again. So you see those 3 cars. Here's the Ford. This is the Camry. I should have put a space in between. And here's the Charger. So the Charger, I did not specify the year. But since I don't do it, then it's going to call the constructor with the 3 fields that match this constructor, and you populate this data. The 3 unique data plus the default data. So you can see I did a constructor overload 3 times. And you can keep going. You can do one only for the VIN number, one for the string, one for the model. Okay, I'll do one more thing and I'll show you there's a problem. So here, I'll just copy one again and I'll put here. I'll just take the VIN number for this one. And the rest could be default. Again, I'll just copy this and put it here. And we'll make the VIN number unique. So this VIN is equal to this VIN here. And the rest will be default. Okay. And I have another one. This time I'll only take the make. And so the VIN number will be, we'll just call it ABC123. And the make will be make. I'll put a small m here. Okay. So you can see there's a problem here. Okay. The car and this one here, it says the type car already defines a member call something, right, with the same parameter types. Okay. So these are okay because you have 3 of them. This one I have 4 of them. This one I have 1. But it's for the VIN. This one's for the make. Well, C# does not know the difference between a VIN and a make. All it knows is that this is a string type and this is also a string type. And it does not know which one to go. Okay, so in this way, you have a conflict. And if that's the case, you can't overload this method here. You can only choose one. Okay, so you must have a different data type or different quantities of parameters. And if they have the same number of quantities, they must be of different type. One of them cannot be the same. It has to be different. Okay, so if I make this instead of make, I guess make it doesn't really matter, right? I can make this into an int, and I choose that as a year. Then it's okay, because now I can say this is the year instead of the make, and I'll put the year here. And then make will be default to Ford. And now it's okay. Okay, so the signature is different, and therefore it's allowed. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 constructors. Okay, that gives me some flexibility, because now I can create a car and I can supply no data and take the default, or supply all the data, or supply 3 pieces of the data, or I can create another one, supply only the year made, or supply only the make, because of these constructors. And you will see that here when I go like this, car x is equal to new car. If I put the mouse inside here, I do a control spacebar. No, maybe before it. Yeah. Constructor spacebar. Yeah, it should tell me. Yeah, right here. It tells me I have 5 of them. Right? Try again. It's car. And then type in the parameter. It tells you I have 5 of them. One is the empty. The next has a year only. Has the VIN number string. It has 3 parameters and has all of them. Okay, so you have all these options to choose from. So that's constructor overload.